Okay, let's talk about something that's practically everywhere you look online, that little Buy Now, Pay Later button. It seems so simple, but a brand new law in Malaysia is about to completely change the game. We're going to break down the new Consumer Credit Act and what it really means for you and your wallet. You know the feeling, right? You're scrolling, you find something you absolutely love, and right there is the option to get it now and just split it into these small, interest-free payments. It feels like a total win-win. I mean, who hasn't felt that little nudge to just click it and worry about it later?
And that's really the magic of it, isn't it? Companies like Grab, Atome, and Shopee have made it so incredibly seamless. It's not even a separate process anymore. It's just another button at checkout. They've basically removed all the friction, all that little pause where you think, should I really be spending this money?
But here's the flip side. For way too many Malaysians, that incredible convenience has turned into a trap. Because behind those easy clicks, there are often hidden fees, really confusing terms and conditions, and a super fast track into a debt spiral that can feel absolutely impossible to climb out of.
So this is why the law had to step in. For years, the whole buy now, pay later industry has been a bit like the Wild West. No sheriff, no rules, just companies doing their own thing. And, that lack of oversight has led to some pretty serious problems for everyday people.
To really get why this new law is such a big deal, let's look at a story that honestly could happen to anyone. It shows just how quickly and how easily a few simple clicks can go terribly wrong.
Okay, so let's meet Afik. He's 21, in university, probably juggling classes and a part-time job. He's smart, he's good with tech, and like most of us, he does a lot of his shopping online. He thinks he's being careful with his cash. So his whole story kicks off with just one purchase. He's been eyeing this really cool gaming headset. He sees it's RM600, but then he spots the SPayLater option. Split it into 3 easy payments? It seems like a complete no-brainer. Super manageable. Almost feels like the responsible choice, right? But that first easy yes is a gateway. Next thing you know, he's using Atome for some new clothes, then he's using PayLater for meals when he's too swamped with studying to cook. Each little payment feels like nothing on its own, but now they're stacking up across different apps, all with different due dates. It's getting messy. And here's where the trap springs shut. An unexpected car repair means he misses one payment. Boom, a late fee gets tacked on. The next month, he's totally buried in exams, and he misses another one. All of a sudden, those harmless, interest-free purchases have ballooned into a RM1,500 debt. Now he's getting constant reminders, and the stress is just piling up.
Now, it is exactly because of thousands of stories like Afik's that the government finally said enough is enough. They've introduced this huge piece of legislation, the Consumer Credit Act, or CCA, and its whole purpose is to put an end to these kinds of nightmares.
So what's the big deal here? Well, for the very first time, all these buy now, pay later companies, all these non-bank lenders, they're all going to fall under one single powerful regulatory body. The CCA is basically bringing law and order to an industry that's been running wild for far too long. So what does this actually mean for you? How does this act become your shield? See, it's not just about slapping fines on companies. It's about giving you, the consumer, real, concrete rights that you can actually enforce. This right here is a game changer. No more misleading ads screaming 0% interest while hiding all the other fees in tiny print. From now on, if there are late fees or processing charges, they have to be just as obvious. And that, hey, you're pre-approved message you get, gone. Now they actually have to do proper checks to see if you can truly afford the repayments.
And let me tell you, this new law has some serious teeth. Before, the penalty for bending the rules was practically a slap on the wrist. Now, we're talking massive fines, potentially millions of ringgit. And maybe even more important, the directors of these companies can be held personally liable. That gets everyone's attention, all the way to the top.
Of course, not everyone is popping the champagne. If you talk to people in the fintech industry, you'll hear some real concern. They worry that if the rules are too strict, it could kill the very innovation that makes these services so great, and maybe even cut off access for people who don't have traditional bank accounts.
And it's not just the fintech giants. Think about all the small online businesses. For many of them, BNPL has been a fantastic tool to increase sales. So their big worry is pretty simple. If these new affordability checks mean more customers get rejected at checkout, what's that going to do to their bottom line?
Then you have the consumer advocates. They see this as a huge, historic win for the little guy. But they're also saying, hold on, the fight's not over. A law is only as good as its enforcement. So now the focus is on making sure these rules are airtight and that sneaky companies can't find some new loophole to exploit.
Okay, so let's get practical. What happens if, even with these new laws, something goes wrong? Well, the best part about the CCA is that it gives you a clear, step-by-step playbook for what to do when you're in a dispute.
Step 1 is still to go to the company directly, but now you're going in armed. Here's how you do it right. First, gather all your evidence, receipts, agreements, screenshots of the app, everything. Then, send a formal written complaint. And here's the golden rule. Document everything. Every email, every phone call, every name, every date.
Now, if the company ignores you or gives you an answer you're not happy with, this is your new superpower. You can escalate your case to an independent financial ombudsman. It's a neutral third party. You submit your case, they investigate, and, this is the most important part, their final decision is legally binding on the company. You are no longer on your own.
So, when you put all of this together, what does the future actually look like? This isn't just a small tweak. This act is going to fundamentally reshape how consumer credit works in Malaysia. In the short term, say the next year or two, we'll probably see an adjustment period. Getting approved might take a bit longer, and some of the smaller, less compliant players might even disappear. But the long-term goal, the big vision, is to build a much healthier credit culture and bring down household debt. And way down the road, the challenge will be making sure this law can keep up with things like AI-powered lending.
And really, this is what it all boils down to. The Consumer Credit Act is an incredibly powerful shield. It offers you protections you have never had before. But a shield is useless if you don't know how to wield it. At the end of the day, your own financial knowledge and your own spending discipline are still your most important weapons.
So, the next time you're online and your cursor hovers over that Buy Now, Pay Later button, things are different. You're not just a consumer anymore, you're an informed, protected consumer. The power dynamic has shifted. So the real question is, now that you have this power, how are you going to use it?